On January 19th, the United States government is set to ban continued use of the social media app TikTok. You can still use it if it's downloaded to your phone, but eventually, without any system updates, it's going to become less usable and more of an actual personal security threat to your device that you have it on. But for many of us musicians, the app served as much more than just a place to go and find funny videos to watch while you're in the bathroom on break at work. So much more that without it, everything's going to change. So let's talk about it. Good afternoon. How's it going? Welcome back. If you're new here, hi, I'm Miles. I do music stuff. And as mentioned in the intro, today we're going to be talking about the ban of TikTok. So TikTok as a social media app, since first growing in popularity, has been almost universally enjoyed by the American public. But you know who really doesn't like TikTok? The American government. The claim being put forward, or at least the claim being put forward for us American citizens to hear, is that TikTok serves as an American security threat because it's an application that's controlled by China. There's been an ongoing discussion about the app for some time now, including having the CEO of TikTok appear in front of Congress to be interrogated by some of the oldest and most out-of-touch people that the American government has to offer, featuring questions that span from politicians showing their complete lack of understanding of how social media apps work on your phone to just being straight up racist, while maintaining absolute certainty that the app that they know nothing about poses a security threat to the entire country. Most recently, there was a hearing in front of the Supreme Court where it was audibly said that there's no evidence showing that TikTok poses a security threat to America. We'll talk about that later. What I wanted to talk about here is how the app has served me as a musician and other musicians out in the world from the time that we've had access to it up to this point, and how it's going to change things if and when we lose access to it. But before we do all that, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I don't know if you heard, but like those 2 clicks of buttons down below the screen right here, it's free. You don't have to pay for it. You don't even have to leave the video. You could just press it. Okay, on with the video. So sure, as a social media app, TikTok has served as a resource for people to find all their funny, inspiring, and even educational videos that they're looking for in their leisure downtime. But what is TikTok for musicians? For one, it serves as a means of promoting yourself or your small business. For me, I wasn't just posting videos to TikTok, I was also promoting the fact that I'm a guitar teacher. When you're looking for a new guitar teacher, it's important to find someone that you really mesh with and that you get along with, and it's not going to feel like a chore to meet with them on a regular basis. And being able to interact with people on social media in this capacity where they see videos of you, but then they're also able to talk to you in the comments or send you a message, whatever else, it makes a world of difference in terms of actually getting new students to sign up. It also served the purpose of being a pseudo portfolio where you're posting videos of yourself playing, and potentially someone who runs a music school, I say that in quotes because I'm talking about like a school of rock or something like that, they can find you, send you a message, and ask you if you'd be interested in teaching at their location. And at the very least, on the short term, it's another steady paycheck that you have to look forward to. But not just that, TikTok also served as an accessible streaming option. As a platform, TikTok served as a great option for musicians that were looking to get into live streaming. This means that you could just take your phone and just prop it up somewhere that you have adequate lighting and press play and you're good to go. Obviously, if you're streaming from your phone, you might get to a point eventually where you're not happy with the quality of the audio or the video that you're getting for your streams, but there's ways you can go about making advancements and refining your overall streaming presentation. Did a whole video about that over here. The main component for me was that when I was streaming to TikTok, I was either playing along with backing tracks, or depending on the requests that I was getting from viewers that were tuning in, I was playing along with actual songs from established artists. And I was able to do this without there being any sort of DMCA issues that stemmed from it. For musicians, TikTok served as a revenue source. As far as making money on TikTok, I was making my money from doing live streams. A lot of people on TikTok, they make their money from posting sponsored content where a business will send out a product and then the person using TikTok will make a video talking about how awesome that product is with like some sort of link to go and get the product. And TikTok also has its TikTok shop, which is terrible, where people can sell either products from established stores or they can even sell their own products. I see people out there that are selling books that they've written and other things of that nature. But for me personally, live streaming was the way to go. In fact, I had one night where I did a single stream and I made over $1,000. And maybe if you're a bigger streamer, $1,000 in one night, like that doesn't really seem like a big deal. But for someone who is a father of two, and I have multiple jobs that are like inconsistent, in addition to doing the YouTube stuff, having an additional $1,000 thrown my way, that was a game changer. And if you're streaming regularly, you're also making money regularly, assuming that you have an audience that's tuning in and they're sending you gifts or they're subscribing to your live stream, in which case that revenue is on a monthly basis. But either way, if you're streaming and you have people that are tuning in, you have the potential to make money. And that's a great thing, especially if you're just looking to have some extra cash to make ends meet. TikTok is the superior option as far as engagement and reach. A lot of people have talked about this in the past, but in regards to the algorithm on TikTok, the way that it's set up, it makes it very, very easy for people to discover you on their For You page, or if you're live streaming, like they're scrolling through and they're flipping through different videos and people and they come across your stuff, and it makes it very accessible to other people to find you and what you're doing. And you could see it in real time. Like you could start a live stream and you will go from having like a handful of people that are viewing your live stream when you initially start to about 10 minutes in having a number of hundreds in viewership in your live stream. And if they're new people, those new viewers can equate to new followers and new subscriptions, which means increased revenue on a monthly basis for you. Like for me, when I do live streams, I spend the entirety of the live stream just talking to people, answering questions in terms of music theory stuff, gear questions, things like that. And one of the running sort of jokes with my live streams is that new people will come in and the first thing they would say is, "How are you talking while you're playing?" Which to me doesn't seem like a big deal because that's really sort of like the byproduct of just years of me being in the position as a guitar teacher where I'm constantly being like, no, that's not where your finger goes. No, it's the third finger. But either way, having that sort of like direct eye contact, even though it's not direct because it's like screen to screen, having that connection with people, it builds up the engagement and the willingness for people to want to support you financially and just continue to follow whatever it is that you're doing outside of the live streams. Like honestly, when I first got TikTok, I think it was right after they changed over from being called Musical.ly, and I made an account, kind of forgot about it. I posted like one video that was a video that I had initially posted on Instagram, and then just kind of forgot about it. And then I came back to it, and that single post had blown up. So immediately I went down that rabbit hole of trying to chase that dopamine hit of posting other stuff, and it wasn't as successful with the other posts that I was posting. It's also served as sort of this central hub for a lot of people because the majority of people that you know more than likely have TikTok on their phone, or they at least have an account that they go on to find funny videos or recipes, whatever the case may be. And so if you as a musician are posting there, you're doing yourself a benefit because now people that are consuming content on TikTok, if they want to find your stuff, they don't have to go to another platform to do so. You don't have to post to a different platform in order to make it accessible to those people. Everything's all in one spot. And so overall, for the longest time, TikTok has been a net good for me as a musician because, like, I've gotten new students. I've had instances where I've had live streams where I've done giveaways. Like, a random person came into a live stream one night and they were like, wish I had a guitar like that. And it was one of the Donner guitars that I had gotten for a gear review. And I was just like, you can have it. It's a lefty. And they're like, I'm a lefty. And I'm like, this is your lucky day. Granted, it's going to be a long time before I ship a guitar to someone ever again, because it turned out to be a way more expensive endeavor than I anticipated. But, the effort was there on my behalf to be a good person. And just overall, the connections that I've built within TikTok, I don't have those on other social media platforms. But now let's move on to public perception in regards to the government wanting to ban TikTok. So, for the most part, the claim that's being put out into the world on the news from the government is that TikTok is stealing your data. But if you think about it for a little bit more than a second, you realize that all the social media platforms are taking your data. Everyone's doing it. Every website that's collecting cookies, your phone is listening to your conversations, your TV, every device in your house has a little microphone on it that you don't know about. And so everyone's collecting data on you, the American companies and abroad. A big reason why Mark Zuckerberg changed the name of the company Facebook to Meta is because of the whole Cambridge Analytica scandal that went down, where he was selling all of his users' data for profit. And just a side note, I don't work for the government. My data's not interesting. So, I don't know, if you're a government worker, should you have TikTok on your government-issued phone? No. Does my data on my phone matter to anyone? Probably not. And so most Americans are kind of already aware of that being the fact when it comes to social media. In regards to this case, people are starting to get wise to the idea that maybe the ban is being put in place because TikTok is a company that's not American owned or American controlled, which means that there's no control by the American government as far as what is posted to the website, and there's no revenue that's coming from the website going into the US government's pockets. Plus, we've seen all the other social media platforms trying their best to recreate all the attributes of TikTok on their own apps. We have on this very site, YouTube Shorts that are somehow now 3 minutes long. And then Meta, between Instagram and Facebook, has Reels. Not just Reels, but an overwhelming campaign to make anything and everything into a reel. Whether it be a collection of photos or a video that you want to add to an album on Facebook. It's like, before you even post it, it's asking you if you want to post it as a reel. And you can't not post it as a reel unless you go through and do all this convoluted stuff. It's very stupid. It's very frustrating. And I imagine that as frustrating as it is for me as a creator, it's got to be just as frustrating from the consumer standpoint as well. In fact, if you post to Facebook or Instagram with a post that is in a format other than Reels, they actively suppress those posts in comparison to Reels. And so all these steps have been taken to try to replicate what TikTok does from an American company. And yet still, they have yet to match or surpass the success of TikTok. And so now the approach is, if you can't beat them, buy them out. Because let's not forget, the other option on the table, aside from a ban, is to sell TikTok to an American company as if it's going to maintain the same level of success under American supervision. We don't know what we're doing. It's not going to work. We're going to try to make it into Facebook too, and it's going to be terrible. And so with January 19th coming up very soon, you have a collection of users of the app as well as creators on the app looking for some sort of alternative. One of the more recent options I was turned on to is the app called Rednote, which is essentially the Chinese version of TikTok. And so far, based on claims that I've seen online, it's been pretty good. However, because it's not an app that's catering to English-speaking Americans, there's a bit of a language curve there. I just made a profile on there. I've run into a bit of an issue as far as registering my account, and I think it's because there's been an influx of people trying to make accounts on RedNote, and so things are running really slow in their system. But if you make an account on RedNote, you'll notice that the layout is very similar to TikTok, and it does present text in English, so it's not completely foreign. So it has potential. I think this is sort of a rough rollout given the chaos that's going on at this very moment. You could post on there, you can live stream, so I'll probably check back with you guys about RedNote in the near future. Another option specifically for streaming would be a platform like Twitch, which you have the ability to stream from your phone, but if you want to be able to compete with all the regular streamers that are on there, you're going to probably want to up your setup as far as what you're using to stream. Maybe get like an actual camera, a separate microphone, some lights, learn how to run a program like OBS or Streamlabs. Which, as far as OBS, I'm planning on learning that very soon because I plan on streaming on Twitch very soon. I will keep you guys posted about that. A drawback, however, in comparison to TikTok is that if you're streaming on Twitch and you're doing it in the capacity that I've been doing it, where it's a mixture of backing tracks, taking requests from viewers to play along with actual established songs from established artists, like the Eagles, what's going to happen is that you're going to get hit with a DMCA. And so when you go to your VOD and you try to extract highlights from it to post to Instagram or whatever, all those clips are going to be muted. There's going to be no audio to it. And so you got to record the audio of your stream in a separate capacity. This can be done if you have something like the Rodecaster Pro 2 like I have. You can record the audio separate from the stream itself. And so that's what I'm probably going to end up having to do, and then have to put it in the video in like Premiere Pro. So there's some extra steps, but it can be done. So another considerable option. So while you have the option to stream to platforms such as Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, if you're going to go about it and you've been doing it in the same capacity that I've been doing it on TikTok, that kind of has to change. And by kind of, I mean it absolutely has to change. So this means that you're probably not going to be able to play along with songs that are owned by like Universal Music Group and stuff like that. And you have to take a different approach just overall in terms of how you're presenting yourself on your streams. And by making that change, you're making yourself susceptible to your audience no longer gravitating to what it is that you're presenting. Especially if you're not performing in a manner where you're playing an instrument and singing. Because in that case, you can do covers. I don't think you're going to run into any real issue in that case. But yeah, if you make a drastic change like that, you're going to run into an issue where you might have a drop in your audience, which equals to a drop in your revenue from live streaming. It's also worth noting that not a day has gone by that I've ever made a cent posting stuff to Instagram and Facebook. I've made money from TikTok and YouTube, and through YouTube I've had companies send me stuff to do gear reviews of and demos and whatnot. But as far as the payout from YouTube, as far as AdSense is concerned, number one, you got to reach that initial threshold of 1,000 followers and X amount of viewing hours and all that stuff. But then you have to wait till like the end of the month to get paid once you reach that $100 threshold. If you get past it, you still got to wait. And that sort of payout schedule is not really that desirable on a low level, especially if you're streaming in a fashion where it's the equivalent of being on a street corner and busking in the city. Initially, the payouts from TikTok were instantaneous, and then they switched to weekly, but still being able to expect to have money come get dropped in your account every Wednesday, it's nice to have that expectation and to know when you're getting that money that you're owed. And so because of that and the limitations as far as streaming in general on those platforms, it's just not really that desirable for me as an option. And the outcome of a copyright claim streaming on one of these platforms is actually way worse than it is on Twitch. Because while Twitch will just mute your stream and you need to have a separate audio source, if you get hit with a copyright claim mid-stream on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, they just take your stream down. You get disconnected. Abruptly. No reasoning, if I remember correctly. I don't believe anyone ever reached out and told me like, hey, you did this thing, don't do that again. So to wrap this all up, I think that this ban, as far as the reasoning, is superficial. I think it's unfair to the American people that not only enjoy the app, but for the other Americans that have found a way to monetize what it is that they're posting, or that have used their platform to start a new business, start a charity, do good for the world around them in this country. We don't have an American equivalent to TikTok, and especially as far as musicians on the platform, this ban, it's left me and others feeling like we're just a community of people that are being overlooked and brushed away, brushed to the side. Like, not to get political about it, but I remember a recent memory of people pushing to protect the jobs of coal miners, to which I don't know how many steam locomotive engineers are in my audience, but I imagine the number is very small compared to the number of people that have been actively trying to move away from their reliance on coal in their lives. By banning TikTok, the US government is taking away a means of income from its people under the guise of a security threat. Like, real talk, how many YouTubers have you watched do ad reads for the company Aura? Have you ever had a friend message you on Facebook with a link to an article or a picture, and then maybe you accidentally clicked it, only to find out that your friend's account had been hacked, and now your account's likely hacked too, so you gotta like do preliminary work to let everyone know, hey, if you get a message from me, it's not me. There's a good chance that there's a number of places that your data is being leaked out into the world, and odds are the majority of those places are not at TikTok. And even if it was from TikTok as well, okay, now they're in good company with everyone else, all the American companies. But let's go back to the Supreme Court hearings where they said there's no evidence of TikTok serving as a security threat. Meanwhile, musicians during lockdowns were live streaming and putting on shows for people that were stuck inside their houses, that enjoy music and enjoy the interaction of talking to someone who's playing music for them. And we collectively continue to be present for people that enjoy the social aspect of live music, interacting with other people, and all the stuff that comes along with live streams, for the sake of their enjoyment, but also the sake of my own wallet. But the thanks that I and other musicians seem to be getting in return for all of that is yet another hurdle that as a musician I have to figure out how to get over. It's yet another change that's being implemented that has no certainty attached to whatever the alternative is going forward. I'm honestly upset about this. I'm tired of there being hurdles put in front of me that I have to figure out how to maneuver around or over in order just to be a creative person putting creative endeavors out into the world for people to enjoy. And while I'm not the only one who feels this way, the given landscape of things, it leaves me feeling kind of like I'm by myself. I'm absolutely going to find an alternative way to go moving forward. And when it comes to streaming, I will keep you guys posted. Like I said, Twitch is definitely going to be a considerable option in the near future. And just like with everything else in life, with this whole TikTok situation, I'm in the camp of hoping for the best, but expecting the worst. For the other musicians out there that are dealing with this situation, I'd love to hear from you and what your future plans are going forward, assuming that things go the way that they're likely to go. That's all I got for you guys for today. I wanted to touch on this topic because obviously it's something that's on the minds of a lot of people. I've been hearing a lot from my musician friends about the sort of panic that they're in because they've put a lot of eggs in their basket with TikTok. Again, I'm hoping for the best, but I'm expecting the worst. So we'll see what happens, and whatever the future holds, I'll make sure you guys know about it. I hope you found today's video to be interesting and informative. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button because it's free and it helps me out. And if you like what I'm doing here and you want to support further than just liking and subscribing, I'll leave a link down below to my Patreon page where you can join my current patrons in supporting what I do here, making these videos possible. That's all for now, everybody. We'll be in touch. We'll talk soon. In the meantime, stay safe. Keep playing. Peace.